Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Mike Bloomberg and his role as political broken glass in debate number 9, okay? The Las Vegas debate that happened on February 19th, right? Now you're like, Scott, why are we talking about the February 19th debate, right? Like there's like the 10th debate is already here, right? Well, you're right. The reason why is, holy cows, things are just firing off at an incredible rate. It is amazing. One of the reasons why American politics are so exciting is there's so many cool events, right? And we are in the middle of it now, man. We got primaries and caucuses firing off. We got debates firing off. We are in the middle of it, right? And then also, they're just each person has events that happen for them. Things like things like news stories like, oh, hey, the Russians are trying to help Bernie Sanders become president. That's a news event, right? Like things like Donald Trump is pardoning a bunch of people you would not expect anyone to pardon. That's a news event. There's just so like this the events just hit like a drum beat. And I do a video every single day, and I don't have enough time to cover all the things that I want to cover. But I do cover the things that I'm passionate about, the things I think are exciting and interesting. And so that's why I'll go back and I'll do a double tap on issues that I think are really cool and interesting. So today I want to talk about Michael Bloomberg in debate number 9 and how he served the role of political broken glass in that debate. All right, so let's talk about Michael Bloomberg on debate number 9, Las Vegas debate, and he showed up for the first time, and boy, it was crazy. Like, he looked like a wolf surrounded by poodles. Everybody was just yapping at his heels and like, oh, you did this, you did that, right? Like, and he just looked so cool because everybody else surrounded him, right? And it made him look dangerous, right? Now, I don't think Bloomberg is dangerous in any way, but when you get surrounded by your opponents and they're all like, oh, we all need to take you down we need to form a pack and take you down, that makes you look cooler than you are. But let's talk about Bloomberg and how he functioned in that specific debate as a multi-paned window, okay? So he was a multi-paned window, and all the candidates aligned around him, and they all came up and they did their punching, right? And so let's kind of walk through every single candidate. We'll talk about the important ones last, right? So you got Bloomberg and Biden. What did he do with Bloomberg? Nothing. He just shadowboxed a little bit, right? He politically shadowboxed. He kind of threw a punch, but never even tapped any of the panes on the window of Bloomberg. Never really did anything. Okay, and then, so who's in here? There's Warren and Buttigieg. I'm going to talk about them last. They're the ones that matter here. So you got Warren, Buttigieg, Bloomberg. Then you got, then we just talked about Biden, and that leaves Sanders, and Sanders and Klobuchar. So let's talk about Klobuchar. Klobuchar politically stepped to the multi-paned window and threw a punch at one of the panes and cracked the glass. She just cracked the glass. She really punched through. She didn't do much, right? And then Sanders, he did throw a punch at the glass, but actually it was like there was an invisible barrier. It didn't make any impact. And the reason why is Sanders, right? You would think that he would be able to come at Michael Bloomberg as a billionaire and be strong against him. He can't. And the reason why is Bernie Sanders has words that are no longer heard by him, right? If Bernie Sanders says millionaires and billionaires, like if he says that, it's just like everybody tunes him out because he's going into his hey, I got this part of my speech on lock. Let me hit this button and play this next 5 minutes for you. It's the same nonsense I said 10 minutes ago. It's the same nonsense I said in the last three interviews. It's the same nonsense I've been saying for 10 years, right? So, like, nobody listens, right? So Bernie Sanders actually really can't talk about Michael Bloomberg because he's been talking about billionaires so long, nobody listens anymore. So, because he just hits that button too much. So Sanders really didn't do anything against Bloomberg, and then you had Klobuchar. She hit the glass. It cracked a little bit. There was just a crack. That's all there was. Biden kind of little bit politically shadowboxed around it. Let's talk about Buttigieg and Warren. These two. Here's where we are. Broken glass. Let's talk about broken glass. Both Pete Buttigieg politically punched through one of the panes on Michael Bloomberg's multi-pane window. He punched through the pane. There was broken glass on the floor, and get this, there was broken glass in Pete Buttigieg's political hand. That's the issue. Same thing with Warren, okay? Warren came up and punched through three panes of glass. Warren was out for political blood. It was crazy. She was throwing jabs, she was throwing hooks at the multi-paned window. And she took out 3 panes of glass, and she was like, pch, pch, pch. Right? She was throwing political punches left and right into the multi-paned window that was Bloomberg, okay? Now, here we go. And Warren got broken glass on her hands. Let's talk about these two. So, basically, Bloomberg in debate number 9 served as political broken glass. And the people who cut themselves politically on Michael Bloomberg were Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Standards. They politically savagely attacked him, okay? And I'm not saying it's not warranted. I'm just saying what happened, right? But they also really came away with political blood on their own hands, and it was their blood, not his. Okay, so their political blood, not his. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened here. So where did this happen to Pete? Right? Well, he said so. There was one point where there was a question of, hey, nobody on the stage can deny Michael Bloomberg has given billions of dollars to help blue causes that everybody on this stage really, really likes. So if we've all been applauding his generosity, why are we now decrying his desire to help more actively and to be in government? If we've been clapping at his support so far, why are we now no longer clapping when his support is going to be leadership and not just money, right? And Pete Buttigieg stepped forward and he said, yes, Michael Bloomberg, this is a paraphrase. He said, yes, I really like that you should be spending your money, and I want you to spend even more money. But that doesn't mean that you should be running for president, because all you've done is you're just a mayor. And all you've done is you've made a few decisions about how to run a city. And the reality is, you've been out there, but the reality is you don't have what it takes. We don't need you here, and we don't need your type of leadership. And I was like, whoa, like, what the heck? You didn't even disguise your incredibly bald, I want to use your assets and throw away your voice. It was like he wasn't even treating Michael Bloomberg like a human being. He's like, yes, we would like to use your money, but we don't want to hear from you, and we don't like you personally, and your leadership is worthless. Oh, and your mayor experience isn't valuable. And I'm like, what? Like, you didn't even disguise this outrageously unfair opinion you hold, right? So one, that's pretty jerky to be like, oh, we want your money, but we don't want your input or your leadership. Why not? Like, if he, do one or the other, right? Like, if you're saying, Michael Bloomberg, you have a lot of problems and we don't think you're, a good leader, and you come with all these packaged problems and we don't like your outlook or your vision, then say, hey, shuffle off. We don't need your money or you. Don't say we want your money, but we want you to be silent and go off in a corner and not be a leader, and we don't want your input, and we don't like you personally. Like, it was incredibly, I couldn't believe how unfair and incredibly selfish Pete Buttigieg sounded at the voting. He drew his political hand back with his own political blood on it. He looked and sounded incredibly selfish and incredibly unfair and incredibly, I couldn't believe, he didn't even attempt to pretend that he was being fair to Michael Bloomberg as a person or a contributor or a blue supporter. I was incredibly, it was so bold-faced, we just want your money, nothing else. You're just a donor. Give us your cash, and you're never going to get anything for your money except, you should feel lucky to give us your money. I couldn't believe how openly unfair the whole thing was. It was horrible, horrible. And what's even more is was Pete actually saying that your mayor experience, like he talked about Bloomberg's mayor experience not being good enough? Bloomberg was the mayor of New York. Pete Buttigieg is the mayor of South Bend. Like, if Mike Bloomberg's mayor experience, which was New York City, wasn't good enough, why on earth are you running, Pete Buttigieg? Because like South Bend is not even like a corner of New York. Like there are taco stands that have a bigger, like, you know, a bigger commerce budget than South Bend. There's taco stands in New York that make more money than South Bend. It's ridiculous. Like, I was like, holy cows, I couldn't believe how much political blood was on Pete Buttigieg's political hand when he punched through one pane of Michael Bloomberg. Let's talk about Elizabeth Warren. Oh boy, wow. All right, so she comes out and she said, Michael Bloomberg, you said X about intersectionality group. Michael Bloomberg, you said Y about intersectionality. Oh, Y about intersectionality group. Michael Bloomberg, X was horrible. Michael Bloomberg, Y was horrible. These things you said were just the worst. They were terrible. It is shockingly terrible how terrible these things you said were. They're horrible. And really, the reality is you shouldn't be president because you said such horrible things. Who would say these things? It's so terrible, and what you said was terrible, and it goes against your character. And then I couldn't believe it. Right? She's like, of course I'll vote for you because you're blue. Blue no matter who. Again, paraphrase. But she's like, of course you're better than Trump. Of course, if you're the last person standing, you'll get my support. And I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe, like, she actually thinks that blue no matter who works and that people understand it. People don't, right? I'll tell you right now, I'm former Yang Gang. And I am former Yang Gang. I'm not like, and there are a whole bunch of people out there like, oh, I'm Yang Gang forever, right? I'm not Yang Gang when Yang ain't Yang Gang, right? Like Yang he's off doing, I don't know what, punditry, commentary. Like I ain't paying attention anymore because I need to know who's going to win, right? Like, and Yang, great man, love him, respect him, and if, I'm there if he is in a position to win the presidency. He ain't. Right, and so he drew back, I'm drawing back, right? I love Yang, but the reality is, this blue no matter who, this sounds absolutely horrible coming out of any candidate's mouth, right? And I can't believe nobody talked to Elizabeth Warren. Like, she has got some really, really bad political advisors. Nobody in this race can say, listen, blue no matter who. You can't say that. It is just terrible. You cannot say blue no matter who if you are running in the political race. You have got to say, okay, you got to make it clear, it's me or the world ends, right? Like, it's just, like, you can't tell anybody, oh, I'd really like to win, but whatever, Mike's fine. Especially after I just said he said these horrible things about these intersectionality groups. Like, there was so much political blood on her political hand. It was just terrible. Mike Bloomberg, actually, Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg punched through the panes of glass. Elizabeth Warren punched through like 3 panes of glass on the multi-paned window of Michael Bloomberg. She had a ton of political blood, of her own political blood on her own political hand after she punched through. And it was the same with Pete Buttigieg. They attacked Michael Bloomberg, but the only person who was politically bleeding after those political attacks was them. All that is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion on the topic. Please let me know. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.